Welcome to another episode of Comedy Wham Presents. With me, your host, Valerie, and sometime co-host, Miss Purrington, and Mookie is standing at attention. ComedyWham.com is your place to go for features about all Austin comedy. You can keep up with us on Twitter and Instagram at Comedy Wham or on our Comedy Wham Facebook page. In addition to podcasts, Comedy Wham brings you articles, album reviews, our advice column, Rochelle Takes on Comedy, and we've also got a festivals page. And of course, we're best known for our events page for live shows in Austin, Houston, and DFW. If you're a comic in any of those cities and want your show featured on the calendar, simply go to our events page and click Submit a Show to complete the short survey. Tag us on your Instagram stories and posts, and we'll share your show promo. Looking for ways to support all these resources we provide? You can donate to Comedy Wham on PayPal, Venmo, or even Patreon. Search for Comedy Wham on Patreon and check out our subscriber perks. Now let's get back to our podcast. Launched in 2016, the Podcast Project brings you funny people and their stories. As a fan, I like to delve into a comic's background and motivations, and will usually take a detour along the way. Consider the interview a way for you to get to know the folks that make the Austin comedy scene one of the best in the country. If you like this podcast, please rate and review us. It really helps. Today, I am talking to somebody who has performed around Austin as well as across the state, doing shows in Houston at the Secret Group and in Dallas. Forgot where, but I know it was in Dallas. He is the host and producer of the Laughingstock comedy at the Alamo Drafthouse Mueller. And he was a recent performer, his first time on Altercation Comedy Festival this past year. And now Comedy Wham presents our guest, Chris Tan.
Thank you for having me.
Hello.
Yeah.
I hate that was so short, but I told you before we recorded that there's another Christopher Tan, and he's an actor type, and he has just dominated the Google search.
I think it's funny that you're mentioning the full name Christopher Tan, because all my comedy stuff is under Chris Tan, so maybe that's how I can work the algorithm. So I got to figure that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good to know.
So, Chris, welcome. You reached out to get on, and I'm happy to introduce the universe to our Comedy Wham audiences anyway, to new comics. And I always start my podcast with an icebreaker question. So let me ask you one word to describe your past.
My past in comedy or just in life?
Open-ended.
Oh. Bored.
Bored?
Bored, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect word. Yeah. Because, I don't know, just my parents sent me to like this preppy, like a college prep school, and it was just so boring the entire time. I remember like sitting in like history class learning about like Burgundy, and then I was like, this is not what I want to do. This is, and so like comedy is the opposite of boring to me. It's just learning how to make your own fun. Yeah. So I guess if that's the before, then fun is the after.
Yeah. So where did you grow up?
Like 25 minutes from here. I grew up, I grew up in Pflugerville, and then I went to St. Stephen's, which is in Westlake, not too far from here.
Yeah.
And so I was like born and raised in Austin.
Okay, all right. Because you mentioned before when you came in that your dad is French. And so I thought, world traveler type.
He did travel a lot. He moved to Texas when he was like 19. So he lived in Paris for like a good 8 years.
Yeah. Huh. Do you speak French? Did he? No, he didn't.
No. I took a French class once, like 6th grade.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so one of those rare born and bred Austinites.
Yeah. There's only like 7 of us left.
Yeah.
They call us unicorns.
Yep, that's right.
So you're an Austinite too, then?
I'm not.
Oh, you're not.
I'm also a transplant. Okay. Multiple times. I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Well, I was born in Belgium, but then grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Came to UT for my college days, left, and then eventually came back.
Got it. Okay.
So, yeah.
You look very settled here. I don't think you're leaving anytime soon.
No, I'm not. There's too much junk. It's also like a multi-generational home, so it's just there's just
okay. Got it.
2 households full of junk in here. or not junk, but possessions.
This is what my household looked like as a kid, and it was just one generation.
Okay, so growing up, while you were bored, did comedy have any role in your life?
I remember my first comedy show ever. One of my good friends, he took me to Gabriel Iglesias.
Ah, nice.
And yeah, I was just laughing the entire time. Like, it was like messing up my like face and like my
I love
stomach.
shows like that.
Yeah, it was like the first time I ever laughed that much in an hour. And it still like escapes the idea of like actually doing what they're doing. But that was like my first introduction. It's like storytellers. Like,
Yeah.
I also watched Mike Birbiglia. That was the second comedy show I went to. And then this is where the fun experimenting in comedy comes. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a storyteller. And then I went to an open mic. The first open mic ever. Talked about like visiting the Church of Scientology, taking their IQ test, which is pretty interesting, but it was an open mic, so no one gave a shit. And so I was like, I'll just learn how to write a joke and stop telling stories.
How old were you?
At the Church of Scientology?
No. When you did your first open mic.
Oh, 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're already out of school by then.
Oh,
So
yeah, I was, like, fresh out of
gotcha.
school,
Okay,
like,
you
half a
fast
year
forward.
out.
You really want to get past the boring parts of your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so when you finished high school, did you stayed here?
No, I went to school in New York.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And since you went to school in New York, were you anywhere near New York City?
I was in Rochester, but then right after that, I worked at a bank like after graduation. So I was in New York.
Okay. And based on the good experiences that you had with comedy, did you realize you were in a mecca of comedy?
I had like an inkling. Like, I was I guess like a comedy fan before like a comic.
Okay.
Which
Yeah.
I think like the time span in between like becoming a comic and comic fan was like very short.
Yeah.
Like in New York, there's just so much comedy, so I'd like go out and watch like 4 shows a week, just watching, and then I didn't do comedy till like maybe like 8 months into like watching so many shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it that sparked you to want to
my
give it a shot?
therapist.
Oh,
Yeah, it wasn't like some natural like, oh, you should do comedy.
Yeah.
No. He was like, you need to do this.
really?
Yeah, because I started doing improv, like, I think, like, fresh out of college. Just talk about being bored. Like, I just
Yeah.
remember, like, I worked at a bank, and all people would do after work or on the weekends was just drink, and I was like, I'm going to do something more interesting.
Your story sounds so Hunter Duncan like, because I think Hunter Duncan had like almost exactly.
It's so funny.
Experience.
I've actually talked to him about this. It's, yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm basically like
Westlake
future
kid.
you in 6 years." Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, not that you were
improv
Westlake
kid does stand up. Yeah, not the
Bank-
Comedy
getting out
Central
of the-
part yet, but yeah.
yeah,
He told me like when you're 6 years in, then it'll happen.
yeah. That's so funny. It's so funny. Okay, so I'm just amused.
Yeah.
The therapist tells you to go do comedy.
Yeah, I was just telling him, yeah, I do improv. Like, I hate my job at the bank, and then he was just like, dude, you're smart. You're charismatic. You're good looking. You got everything, baby.
Oh my
I was like, quit blowing smoke up my ass, man. He's like, no, you're a triple threat. My sister used
so
to
funny.
date Andrew Dice Clay. You were funnier than him. And I was like, shut up.
So funny. Wow. Okay. But it helps that you did improv too, because you learn a lot
Definitely
of,
did.
of things. Where were you learning improv?
At the Magnet and the Pit.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I just know UCB is
Right,
the big-
yeah, that was the third one. That was the only one I really didn't hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are like the 3 main ones
Yeah.
in town.
And what did you think about your improv experience?
Oh, it was so fun.
Yeah.
It was like the first time ever like doing improv was like probably the closest I'll ever come to like doing heroin. It felt so good. Talk about being bored. That was the first time I felt alive. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, this is
Wow.
fun. Yeah.
Wow. So you were hooked.
It was, yeah, it
Yeah.
got me.
Do you still do improv today? Or have you?
No, I don't. It's Yeah, I do miss it a lot, but I think I incorporate a lot of improv in stand up because like I like to go up and riff and kind of like break the fourth wall. So like the
Yeah.
first like minute, 2 minutes of a set is just like off the top of the dome.
Okay. All right. So, how did you decide where to do your first open mic? And, I mean, was it an immediate response to, okay, my therapist told me to do this, so tonight I'm going to an open mic? Or did you have to say, my therapist is telling me to do an open mic, or you can go do stand up, but come on, really? And then
Yeah.
you sit on it for a while.
No, I was like, yeah, I'll do stand up. That's fine with me. But this is a testament to how hard it is to get stage time. I was like, all right, I'm down. I'll do it tonight or tomorrow. And then I tried signing up for mics, and then it took me like 5 days to like finally get on.
Oh,
Because
wow.
like it's a whole fortress of like how to like break into this open mic scene, especially in New York.
Yeah.
And so just like hunting for an open mic that like I probably went to like 3 venues that like I found online, and then I get there and it's like not there anymore.
Oh,
Like that kind of
gosh,
thing, you know? But yeah, first open mic ever was at the Pit in New York near like Madison Square Park. And yeah, I just ate shit with everybody else for 5 minutes. It's not one of those stories where it's like, yeah, I'm murdered.
Well, as an improv fan and performer, did you go into it thinking, oh, I'm just going to riff this entire time, or did you come in trying to prepare?
I didn't really write any jokes. I just, like I mentioned, the Scientology story. I like
Oh, right,
just,
right.
just like listing out 1, 2, 3. This is what happened. And yeah, it was didn't really hurt or anything to go up because I was like, oh, I saw other people not do well because it's a mic.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I kind of just zoned out. I didn't get the heroin feeling like I did with the improv one though, which is surprising.
Yeah. So did you want to go back and tell your therapist no? Or did you say, I got to try this again?
That's a good question. I think the entire time he was just trying to get me to quit my job. So he was, yeah. Which he wasn't a cheap therapist. It wasn't the best plan, but
Yeah.
he had my well-being at heart.
So how long before you tried it again?
The entire time I was still doing improv, but my second open mic, let's see, first was in April 2019. And the second one was July.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a good like 3 months in between.
Yeah. Why'd you wait so long?
Oh, the entire time I was like, should I quit my job at
Oh.
UPS?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
by July, had you decided, or?
Oh, by
you're-
June I was out. I think like 2 days after my birthday. Yeah, I was out.
Yeah. And how did you approach the second time doing the open mic any differently?
More carefree. More scared but carefree. You know, like when you get those butterflies in your stomach, it just like lets you know that you're scared but you're also alive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you feel better coming off the stage?
I don't even remember what the second one was like. So probably not good if I don't remember it.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe you blocked it out of your
Yeah.
consciousness.
It's just crazy to be starting out in New York,
Yeah.
you know? After like going literally from like working at an investment bank to like an unemployed comic, it's like night and day right there.
Yeah. Unemployed comic doesn't last a real long time in a super expensive city either.
No, so for I guess like a good like half year, I was just saving up money, and then worked at a restaurant, but mainly living off of savings. So I went like a good 9 months, kind of just like having fun doing mics every day.
Yeah. So that puts us at late 2019. I know something big is coming up in March of 2020. Did you come back before then, or was that what made you come back?
That's what made me come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were willing to tough it out. with the savings that you had and working your restaurant job,
I would
or
have made something happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, shoot, I'm young. I'm 23. Like, you feel invincible when you're 23.
Yeah.
And then your knee starts to hurt. And you're like, oh, shit.
it does not get
I
better.
can't afford physical therapy. And then you're like, oh, man. Good thing I still have friends at the bank. You have those thoughts.
Yeah. Okay, so then in that time, how often were you able to do stand up?
Oh, like 15 times, 20 times a week.
Oh,
Yeah, so I was getting up like 3-ish times a night.
yeah.
Yeah.
And were you getting to that point where you were kind of feeling that heroin, like?
Yeah, definitely. The crazy thing with stand-up is that the level of progression is like very rapid in the first, I would say, year, to where you can look back like even from like a month ago and be like, wow, I've gotten better, or at least less crappy. Like you can feel the progress much faster.
Yeah. And were you excited about that up until March
Yeah,
of
definitely.
2020?
March of 2020. Yeah. I mean, living in New York, I was like, shoot, I think I'd rather spend a pandemic and my parents.
Yeah.
And like,
Well,
like half an
everything was
acre.
shut down. New York
Yeah.
is very, very aggressive about
Yeah.
the lockdown.
It's back though. I just went back to
Yeah.
New York like a week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so fun just doing shows. It was crazy going from like starting out in New York and then coming to Austin where it popped, and then like I guess like getting better for like 2 years, and then coming back to New York, and then just like the change that I saw, like it kind of crystallized for me. It helped a lot.
Yeah. When you were living here in Austin, since you hadn't started comedy in Austin, did you know what you were coming back to as far as where the comedy scene stood?
For New York?
No, here in Austin.
Oh, in Austin. No, I didn't really know what to expect. I've been to Cap City like maybe 5 or 6 times. I just, yeah, honestly, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I just signed up for open mics and like just did shows like.
Well, I guess my question is a little bit bigger perspective than that. It's you feel like you're hitting your stride in New York, but then you realize I can't afford to live here if I can't perform.
Right.
So I'm going to come back to Austin because I get free rent. But I really like what I've been doing with comedy. Can I do comedy in Austin?
I see.
Because I don't know
see.
anything about the Austin comedy scene.
Right. I never really had that fear, I guess, just because like my comedy worldview was like still kind of limited. It was just like get up as much as possible. That's all that mattered. And then Austin provided that. And then I guess it became kind of a hub in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So it really just lined up. Like I happened to like quit a job in New York, which happened to be the comedy mecca, moved back during the pandemic, which became Austin like its own little mecca.
Yeah. So we were locked down for quite some time, and then I'd say it was the fall of 2020 when things started. Like some of the aggressive new faces in Austin became or made spaces available for performers. So for you, it was just you weren't concerned about that. You were just like, hey, I can go back to doing comedy again.
It wasn't until like maybe after that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
like once like people started getting vexed, then it was like full throttle.
yeah. And did you write in that time, or did you just turn the spigot off completely to your comedy mind?
Living at home, I try to keep it alive. I would write like a new joke a day and then post it in like the living room. People are like, what the fuck is this?
Well, that's good, though, that you keep kind of, try to keep that creative part of you going.
I think for the most part, just like trying to live life, I'd say for like a good 4 months, initially like at the start of the pandemic,
Yeah.
just to like still feel like I was living it up.
Yeah.
I went on like a road trip, just like traveling around like solo backpacking.
Oh,
And
wow.
So I think it didn't help with comedy, but I guess like to develop as a comic, you need to like develop on like a spiritual level, for like lack of a better word, just like more self-awareness. I think it's easier to be like true on stage if you kind of like know what you're carrying in your own head.
That's something that people 3 to 5 years into comedy finally start realizing. So the fact that you're one, if you carve out the pandemic,
Like
1 to
2.5,
2, yeah, to have that awareness is, fast track compared to
I appreciate that,
what
yeah.
most people. Also, I'm a big believer that, without life experiences, what are you bringing to the stage? That's how people get stuck in just dick jokes all
That's
the
beautiful.
time.
Yes,
Because
that should be the quote for the podcast.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. You're entirely right. Because it's one thing to demand attention. It's another thing to deserve it. Like it's a lot of times, like even myself, I go up there. I'm like, why should they listen? Like. You always see comics being like, hey, you got to listen to me. I got the microphone. Like, why should they listen to what you have to say? So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like, honestly, the first thought I have is like, why is this interesting?
yeah.
Right.
So when you were starting to go up on stages, the way that I like to describe the Austin comedy scene in early 2021 is it's very much dominated by the Brogans, the big laugh. Creek in the Cave was starting to open up, so it was catering to the Brogans as well. So it was a very aggressive style of comedy, and this is history lesson. This isn't talking down, but that was what the scene was, because all of the pre-pandemic comics, they were like, we're not ready to come back into the scene, playing it safe. And their style of comedy was more eclectic, diverse, just very, very hip and cool, and but not what you would describe as
Right.
Broganish. So you're coming into a scene as things are opening up. You may not, and because you didn't have that history of what the scene was before, how did you feel about dropping into scene, having your experience in New York, and seeing what the Austin comedy scene looked like to you?
That's interesting. Yeah, because that's like 3 different angles right there. My New York experience, Austin old, and Austin new. Honestly, I think I was a little bit more acquainted with the Brogan scene just because
New York is so aggressive
Yeah.
in its comedy.
I think that comes with Kill Tony too. I think that is, put aside like Rogan and the Brogans and all
Yeah.
that. I think Kill Tony just in nature tends to be a little bit more crass because it's like kind of a roast show and then kind of a dark comedy
Right.
show, and so that I think for a good like 8 months became the heart of the Austin comedy scene. Just
Yep.
going down to Vulcan every Monday was religious for comics. And so that dictates a lot of comics like perspective on like what comedy is. And so
Yeah.
it becomes like very refined and crystallizes. And I think a lot of like Austin comics are within 2 years of starting. And so like when you just watch Kill Tony and like the Brogans, and that becomes like your worldview for comedy. So I think I was fortunate enough to like see different areas of comedy in New York. So I kind of had an idea of like what I wanted
Yeah.
in terms of like me being my own like favorite comedian,
Did you do the Kill Tony? Were you
I've
one
signed
of
up,
those?
like 15 times.
Yeah.
No dice yet.
Oh man.
It's okay. Hans did it for me.
Yeah, man, what a magical life he's had. And God, I mean, that's just so incredible. From the fall from grace with Pang to Hans sweeping in, and just God, I get jealous watching Hans.
Yeah.
Is like, oh look, I'm at the UFC cage, right there, or I get to watch this, and
I've been
I get to.
mistaken for him 8 times.
Oh, no.
How do you think I feel, Valerie? How do you think I feel?
Oh man. Well, and that speaks to the lack of diversity sometimes in our comedy scene, because you probably didn't face that as much in New York, which is such a melting pot.
Yeah.
And here it's like, it's very white. It's a
Right.
very white comedy scene.
Right. I think the topics that are spoken about in Austin are like a little bit more limited. Just going back to New York, it's a little bit more diverse. I mean, obviously, it like boils down to like dick jokes
Yeah.
for the most part with
Yeah,
like
let's be real.
comics who were within the first like 5 years.
Right. And until you get wise to, life experiences. That's what people can actually
Right.
relate to. I mean, it's nothing wrong with a good dick joke, but it's the life experiences that get you lifelong fans as a comic, too.
Right, and talk about like what you mentioned earlier, like insights to like being a 5-year comic. It'd be so helpful for like comics just to learn how to like write a joke. I'm not saying I'm a master, but like a lot of people go up there with like funny ideas. Like I think if you go to an open mic, there's so many people who come up and be like, dude, I just know it would be if funny. Like just think about it. The Boston bomber, like he had to have like gone shopping at Walgreens to like go and pick that up. Isn't that crazy? And then they do an act out. They're like, no, like write the fucking joke, dude. This isn't a skit.
Yeah. Okay, so you're seeing the Austin comedy scene and you're performing it. Do you get to a point where you feel as good about doing comedy as you were when you were doing it in New York?
I feel like at Austin, in terms of like skill level, helped me out a lot. Just like a lot of quality stage time and still being able to get up like 15 times a week. And so I think just like in 2 years, I was able to like kind of progress.
Yeah.
quite
Is that how
well.
often you were going up?
Yeah.
In Austin, or was that New York?
Oh, no, it was about the same in New York and
Wow.
Austin. It's like 15-ish times a week, sometimes 20
Yeah.
on a good week.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's a lot of work.
I got nothing else to do. I live with my parents right now, and they're like, dude, why do you go out every night? And I'm like, what else is there to do?
Yeah.
Like, I've done a little bit of everything. Like, I studied, like, religion in college. I, like, went camping, like, in the middle of nowhere for, like, a couple months. Solo backpack to Ecuador, like, teaching, like, immigrants how to, like, speak English. I've done a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Like, comedy's just nothing else to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, somebody listening to this who's worked their asses off for comedy, you're making it sound like, oh, this is a fallback. But it can't be a fallback for you.
Oh,
Like,
no.
you love it?
No. A fallback has to be something where you make the big bucks, you know?
Yeah.
3 drink tickets after a 10-minute set. That's not the big bucks.
Yeah, right. Okay, so as 2021 starts to take shape and some of the old guard comics start to, reopen their shows and start getting the stage time, and you're seeing this whole other flavor of what the scene was. Does that impact you in any way?
Not as much as I would think, honestly, because they kind of had like their own little circles. They were never like mean or anything like that. Like Hunter
Yeah.
Duncan, talk about a nice guy, and
Oh, yeah.
like somebody from like the old scene. He's been nothing but kind to me. So I think just getting exposure to them, and then like this is where like reality and like I guess social media kind of differ, because online people are like, oh, old scene. This and that about them, nothing good. And then you
Yeah.
meet them in person, like Hunter Duncan, he's a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's still humble after Comedy Central.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. There is a more humble side to them. I mean, I could think of a handful of names of people that've gotten Comedy Central credits, and they've all been very humble about it.
Right. I think, it's just all perception versus
Yeah.
reality. I can think of like 12 comics off the top of my head who are just like, yeah, I'm friends with them. They're cool. They book me
Yeah.
on shows, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, this is just about the perfect spot for us to take an intermission before we start talking about the new show that you've been putting together. So we've got this card game. Where should we begin? And it's 2 cards in front of you, and you're going to pick one, and I'm going to read it off, and you're going to answer the open-ended question, and then you'll read off my question. So,
Perfect.
which one do you want me to read off?
Let's do this one.
All right. Very good. Ooh, this is a fun one. The best prank I've ever pulled off.
Talk about leaving a bank and starting comedy. That'll scare your parents.
Oh my God.
Ooh, you want to hear a prank? Oh, as a mom, you might not like this, but...
Go for it.
I had 2 roommates in college who, they just hated each other, and I kind of, like, felt the wrath of it just because I was so close to them. And then, like, they wanted me to help mediate it. And so, just to speed the process up, I slipped some acid in there.
Jesus.
Just a little bit, Valerie. Just a little, like a quarter tab, just
my
enough to make you
God.
want to skip. It was good. They cried a little bit. It was good.
Oh, how funny. It actually worked.
Yeah, it worked.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
I know my dosage.
Okay. I don't know if your therapist would have approved of this as a
Oh,
method.
no, not at all.
Okay. I'll have to remind my son, do not take any drinks from anyone. Ever. Not even your roommate.
I've never roofied anybody, okay?
Okay, that's
I
good.
just made them happy.
Okay, and it surprisingly worked. That's amazing. Okay. So, Chris, you are performing comedy. You're kind of in a routine. You're surely getting noticed because if you're performing 15 times a week, then you're getting better, and people are booking you. Do you remember what your first book show here in Austin was?
In Austin, let me think. I think it was from Marty Clark at Baker Street Pub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna guess because that was.
That was
one
a
of
great
his-
room. Yeah, it was a great first show in Austin.
Yeah. And that showcase is still going.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's a solid weekly showcase.
It's very good.
Yeah. Did you approach it any differently than? Actually, what I want to know is your first open mic. You tried to pull off a story. Have you stayed true to wanting to be a storyteller comic?
No, not at all.
Okay, so
I think
what
I've told like maybe 3 stories, and then I was like, we got to change this.
So what is your approach now?
Style now. I'd say I align more to like what people call like black comics. I
Okay.
guess like Chris Rock, Richard Pryor, although they're white, like Doug Stanhope, he's also like kind of a black comic. Just I guess like more real, like they break the fourth wall, and then because I found that it's easier because a lot of comics go up there with like a persona, and I think a bomb is so much less hurtful if you're just yourself up there. It's one thing to like make up a fake story and then it bombs, but if you have like something real to say, it doesn't have to be like earth-shattering truth, but just like something that you believe, then you're like, oh, screw it, whatever, that was just whatever,
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then you, I don't know exactly when, it feels like it's fairly recent, you've launched the Laughingstock show. Was that your first produced show?
No, I've produced like maybe 3 or 4 other venues.
Okay.
Like,
And why did you decide to get into that part of?
oh, stage time.
Okay.
Time, baby. No, but I just like looked at like what you would call like the top dogs in the scene, and they're funny, but they're also like strong producers too.
Yeah.
So that's like another skill of comedy, and it helps you like make some money on the side too. Yeah. So I before this show, I got lucky. I had like a weekly residency at 1-to-1 bar, which is no longer, unfortunately, because the owner really loves strippers.
Oh, God. Oh, my gosh.
He had a lot of girlfriends.
Oh, boy.
Very nice guy. Very sweet guy. But yeah, I just ran a show every week. Some shows were hot. Some were But like, I think that was like a producer boot camp for me. Just learning how to market a show, build a lineup, host a show. I ran like 40 shows there. And then just along the way, just like producing other shows at different venues. So
40 shows is a lot.
Yeah.
Were these weekly shows or?
Weekly shows, yeah.
Oh, wow. That is a lot.
Probably, yeah. I did the math with my girlfriend the other day. Like, probably made like 55 shows in the last year and a half.
Wow. And you said it was a producing boot camp, but were you watching other people? I mean, you're going to 15 shows a night, or not a night. No, that would be impossible. A week. Were you watching how other people and observing? Because if you were working at an investment bank, you're not a dumb guy. So were you watching how other people were producing shows to see if you could kind of learn?
Oh, yeah.
Learn what not to do, what to do?
Yeah, just like how to make a flyer, how to promote it, where to promote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like down to the nitty gritty, down to where like I have it like down to like a science, like a little recipe on how to like make a good show.
Yeah. And what are some do's and don'ts? Because you're pretty early on in your comedy career, as we've established, reaching levels of wisdom that some people take a few more years to figure out. What are some do's and don'ts for people who want to produce shows that you think people should pay attention to?
Oh, okay. Be friends with the venue. You know, if you're seeing them every week, it becomes like almost religious at that point. So just like, I don't know, like bring them cookies when it's like Christmas or like Thanksgiving. Just like grab a drink with them after the show and not bounce. And like pick up the chairs and all that, just to show that they care, to show that you care about them too. And that makes the show so much better. Like the crowds can like detect just like the energy in the room based on like how the bartender feels.
This is so funny that was your first thing that you said. I almost wanted to do like the GIF or GIF, if that's how you prefer to say it, where it's the person like they just jump up, knock the chair back, and start applauding. Because I just had this conversation with our columnist Rochelle, and that we were talking about producing shows, and I said, I think one of the most important things to remember is the venue wants to make money. That's why they're letting you do that. And if you can be friends with them, that's part of helping them make money because you're on friendly terms. I love that you said that. That was the first thing that you said. Because comics, the performers, you know, they need to remember that the venue has opened their doors up to you.
Talk about don'ts. Like I'm no comedy master, but this is an iron set rule. Like, don't go up on stage during a show and bomb and then be like, why are you idiots here? Y'all paid money to see this show?
Okay.
Oh, I will.
There's the GIF again.
Oh my God, dude.
Don't blame the audience. Everybody bombs and it's okay, but don't blame the audience.
Jeez, yeah, there's assholes in the crowd. I dealt with a heckler this week. Like, shit, you don't just like tell them like, why did you spend $20 to see me? Like, shit, they didn't know they're gonna see like Jimmy Pancake at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, dude. Fuck you, dude.
Okay, those are some good do's and don'ts. Okay, so you had this one show that you produced nearly a year, and then this Laughingstock is your third one.
I'd say fourth.
Fourth, okay.
Yeah, I've had a couple different venues.
Yeah. The Laughingstock is the first one that I noticed because the flyer is so great.
Thank you.
So I don't know if I missed the boat and you had great flyers for your other shows. I just know that I love this one.
That one's probably my favorite one so far.
Yeah,
it was definitely it's all about just looks.
Yeah.
You know, I made like a promo video too that helps the show a lot.
Yeah.
People just want to know what they're seeing and they have to feel cool going to the show.
Yeah.
So I think I could change the name. That would make it seem cooler. But everything else is there.
Yeah. Well, why do you think Laughingstock isn't?
It's a little bit. I like what I've done, like Laughingstock, making it like an investment stock. Like,
I didn't even think about that part.
Oh shoot, you didn't even get it. All right, so we gotta scrap the name. We gotta scrap. I could sell out more shows if I had a better name. I've been trying to link it up with my investment banking pass. So That way it seems like a metaphor. So I don't know. We'll change it.
But then, I mean, do you go up on stage and talk about your investment banking past a lot?
No, well, I have like 2 jokes
Yeah,
about
so
it.
nobody's going to get that reference.
No,
I
it's
was
just for
thinking
me.
of it
It's for
more.
me.
Okay, it's for you.
It's
All
for
right. Well,
me.
you got to make yourself happy. That is true. That is true. And Mueller is like just such a hopping spot.
Nice and gentrified.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that Drafthouse has been pretty open to having comedy shows for years now. Before the pandemic, they were doing shows or hosting shows there. The great Aaron Brooks and, Mac Blake used to do
I've
a
heard
show
that name a lot.
before the pandemic. Well, actually, and Aaron Brooks moved to LA. So anyway, there's a history of the Drafthouse Mueller being supportive of comedy. So it's kind of cool that you got a show there.
Yeah, speaking of doing comedy in interesting places, I know one friend, this is just a testament to how you have to build your own stage time. He built his own stage. He has Ty Wynn.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
out of his own house.
Yeah, shooting a special
Ty
there.
has always been pushing the boundaries of what you think is, what comedy should be. He's always been kind of.
I respect him and his approach to comedy a lot because he's very numb to his surroundings in the sense that if he is quote unquote being shunned or something, he doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I could learn. I'm not the best at the networking, shooting the shit at a comedy club for 5 hours, hoping that somebody just gives you a guest spot. I just want to get better.
Yeah.
So that's why I try to get up as much as possible. The idea of sitting around at the creek in the cave from 7 p.m. till 2 a.m. 5 days a week. It's just I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to get better, but it's a meritocracy up until a certain point, I think. And then the rest you kind of just have to shoot the shit with people, and that's one area that I lack.
Yeah. Well, and the creek in the cave brings its New York history. And New York, I thought that was kind of a standard thing where you're kind of a beholden to, a 5-6 hour period hoping to get your mic spot.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because the creek had 2 different rooms back then, both indoors. And so you could do that. Yeah, they would have sometimes 3 or 4 mics in a night. So that's why people would stay there for 6 hours. But over here in Austin, just how it's designed, it's just 1 mic a night, later in the night.
Yeah. But there's a lot of open mics around
Yeah.
town,
Yeah,
so
there's
it's
enough.
no shortage. New ones popping up, it seems, all the time. Okay. Well, congratulations, too, on getting into Altercation Comedy Festival.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know if you've tried to get into other festivals.
Yeah, I'm lucky right now. I just found out last week I got into I think Twin City Comedy Festival.
Okay.
Somewhere up near Dallas.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
so
Paris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm 2 for 2 on festivals.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
That is good. And Altercation, it's kind of near and dear to my heart because I talk to JT every year to help him promote.
Nice.
And I know how much he cares about his lineups. And so I know that he's really paid attention to the people that he selects.
Okay, I'm happy to
So
hear that.
yeah, it's not just your tape was good. We'll throw you in. For him, it's all about you have to be good. That's a baseline. But also B, he's thinking about the lineup for a particular night because he's already got his headliners in mind, and how will the overall show come out. And maybe other festivals do that. I just happen to get that insight because I talk to JT every year.
It makes so much sense that he thinks that far ahead because he's essentially the only producer for the festival, and so he curates a very specific experience versus
Yes.
if it's JFL, it's probably 40 people
Yeah.
who curate the experience, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a little more haphazard.
Thanks for letting me know that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was a really fun first festival.
Yeah.
It was smaller but more intimate, which I liked.
Yeah, and incredible reputation as, solid festival.
Yeah, it felt like a punk rock concert.
Yeah.
Like, that's how they close.
That's
out
his
the
whole
festival.
vibe. That's
Yeah.
He's all punk rock, yeah.
It's on like CDs too.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh, and he's just nonstop work ethic. It's kind of crazy to see. Okay, so that's awesome. You're gonna get to another festival.
Yeah, it's
next-
been just trying to. Honestly, my only goal for comedy is just like get as good as possible, then have like a couple credits under my belt, and then just like be able to go to like any city, like hopefully any country, and just be like, hey, can I just do 10 minutes?
Yeah.
It's just the opportunity to do it anytime.
Yeah. So, what are you doing to put that into action?
Just trying to get as funny as possible, build like a strong 15, and then go back to New York, and then kind of just work the clubs.
Yeah.
And then do a Tonight Show, Comedy Central.
Oh wow, you're like super specific on your goals.
Yeah, I think you have to be specific in comedy because it's easy to just like go to open mics every night and then do the same like 12 jokes. Mm-hmm. So I think just zooming out a little bit, it saves you so much time.
Yeah.
You know?
Vision board.
Yeah, basically. I have a little roadmap. Yeah, just like that.
Nothing
It's
wrong
not on the
with
wall.
plan,
It's on
yeah.
the paper. It's on the table, though.
Is it really? I
Yeah.
mean, is it like that physical
Yeah,
manifestation?
it's in my backpack in my car. Right
Oh my
now.
God, that's amazing. Jasmine Ellis, who is now in LA, but she did
She's like
comedy.
the first comic I ever saw in at Cap City.
Really?
I laughed so hard at her first joke. Her first joke, I'll tell it. It was just so funny. She was like, I signed up for 2 fantasy football leagues. I loved it so much, and then I realized dick is free.
Yes, I know that joke, and I can hear it in her voice. Oh God, I love Jasmine so much.
So funny.
The second time I interviewed her, I went to her house to record, and the first time that I interviewed her, she talked about her vision board. But the second time I interviewed her, I got to see the vision board, and I just love it when somebody is that, not driven, because I think a lot of comics are driven, but like she put it into a physical space that this is where I'm going to go. This is where I'm headed. This is my goal. And I just love that.
Maybe more foresight, I think.
Yeah.
More
Well,
planning.
Yeah, because she's...
Because we all know comics are great planners.
Some of them are better than others. Okay, so so we know your goals now. What do we not know about you that you want us to know about you?
Yeah, I guess looping back to the word to describe the past, like bored. Mm-hmm. That's why comedy is very interesting to me. It's just when you go up in front of a crowd that's like not having fun, like how do you have fun yourself?
Yeah.
And so it's all about just like at the end of the day, you know, like I think I don't know if it's anything worth saying. No, it's just have fun. I grew up like it was just not fun. Like everybody like wanted to go to specific schools. Now all they just want to do is become rich, and it's like I've tasted that a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've never been more sad. Just like you're sad when you're like at Rockefeller Center, like just staring at a Nintendo Switch you just bought with investment banking money, and then being like, "Holy shit, I don't feel any better."
It's a good thing my son's not here listening to you talk trash about playing a Switch.
I was playing Zelda that night, and I was like, "This isn't making. I'm not gonna go to sleep happy."
Okay, have you had an experience that where you feel like you lost a crowd, but then you got them back?
Like half a year ago, my sister was there. It was so bad, dude. And I've done that show before. It's like a fun room. I've done well, and I was like, "Yeah, come to this one." She brought her best friend too. I just bombed for 8 minutes.
Oh gosh.
I could see her just and then I won him over with the Asians can drive bit. I got a little applause break, and then my sister was like, "Good recovery," but whoa.
Well, were you nervous?
No, not really. I made the mistake of pointing out that my sister was in the room. I'm not that crass of a comic, but just mentioning like going on a date and then like knowing that your sister's in the room, people like got weird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I learned that tonight. I got a big pop by just mentioning she was there, and I was like, "This is gonna go well."
Yeah. No, because they were judging you in terms of what do they like? Do they like each other? What is-
Yeah.
Trying to read more into it than
Never do that.
actually
again.
enjoying your. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's have some fun questions. What is your favorite thing about being a performer?
I'd say favorite thing is what you can bring off stage. I think it's possible to perform off stage. Like if you go to like a family dinner and then you just treat it almost as like crowd work. Sometimes try out a new joke. And so that's where like making your own fun comes in handy. Sometimes you'll talk to a boring ass person. I went to a cigar shop and he sounded so dry, and it was like, it made me sad. And so you kind of just turn on the performer mindset, and you're just like, how can I make this fun for him and like me?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I want to ask a question, and it may be asking too far of a judgmental question, but you used bored as your past, and I'm very self-conscious as a parent that if I hear somebody say they were bored growing up, that means their parents were boring. So how do your parents feel about this life that you have now, and do they get annoyed with you trying to play the comic at family?
Oh, I'd never like
functions?
make it obvious that I'm like in jokey mode. It's very much just like shifting my mentality, I guess, to where like I'm like, yeah, but I mess with them, and I'm like, I'm just working on my public speaking. My whole life he's like, yeah, the mouth is your road. You can only go as far as your words. And so now I was just biting him in the ass.
Have they embraced this side of you?
Embrace is a very strong word, Valerie. Very strong word.
Tolerate.
Tolerate. Yeah, that's all I really want. I don't care.
Yeah.
They can.
Because it makes you happy, and that's.
Yeah, it keeps me sane more than anything else.
Yeah.
They don't really care at this point. I mean, I've been doing it like at home for like 2 years now,
Yeah.
and so they kind of know the routine, and they know I don't like drink or like smoke or anything like that, really.
Yeah.
And I'll just come home late, but like they never smell booze off of me, so
Yeah.
they're like, all right, he's not doing anything. He's just telling some dick jokes. No, but my parents are, my dad especially is very fun. Talk about like living in Paris. He like grew up in like Cambodia, Vietnam, so he's traveled a lot. He's lived a very strong life, and my mom she's got a good sense of humor. So they weren't boring. I think the environment that they put me in was kind of boring because they just wanted me to go to Harvard and then become a billionaire. And so that environment isn't like the most interesting to grow up in.
Yeah. Yeah. But the bling.
Oh, God. Dude. My dad is like always throwing stuff at me. He's like, dude, here's this jacket with a bedazzled tiger. You'll love it, dude. Now he just wears it.
Oh, goodness. Sounds like Kane. I don't know if you know who Kane is.
No.
I religiously watch Bling Empire.
Oh, yes,
And
yeah.
Kane is the one that's just always about flashing the flashiest thing. You know,
My dad's
look at
wanted
this-
to buy stuff from him. He watches his show.
Oh, my God. Oh, I love that show, but man, I don't. It's so funny because I was recording earlier today, and I brought up Bling Empire too. So I have a problem with certain reality shows. Let's not even start talking about Love is Blind. So, okay, so the flip side to that question I asked about 5 minutes ago now is, what is your least favorite thing about being a performer?
Oh. that everybody knows. You want to keep it almost as like a Superman or like a Batman thing, you know, to
Yeah.
where like out at night you go out there telling the truth, you know. No, but like that's what I do hate like about being in Austin, not the comedy scene in Austin, but
Yeah.
like being performing in your hometown.
Oh.
It really sucks because like I'll have like aunts or like cousins on social media, and then sometimes it'll be like, oh, tell us a joke, and I'm like, I don't want to do that at all. So it's just like, I don't talk about anything cringy. I don't even talk about family on stage.
Yeah.
But just the idea that they're there in your happy place,
Yeah.
like protrudes in me, like so. Oh, like I remember, I had my aunt's friend tell me that she wanted to go to a show and she wanted to bring my aunt, and my aunt is like, she gets triggered very easily,
Oh.
and she definitely would heckle. And not at me or anything, but if a comic went up there and like told kind of a mean joke about like jewelry or women, then she would have been like, "Fuck you, you piece of shit. Move on to the next comic." And I straight up
Oh my
told
gosh.
her best friend, just like, "Don't bring her if you come. Like, I don't want her there." I'm never straightforward like that, but I was like, "Don't ruin a show."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That actually doesn't come up too much with the 7 unicorns that are from Austin. That it's awkward when family
Yeah.
wants to come to a show.
Yeah, I think it's even more awkward because they just see your old self, like who
Yeah.
you are when you're
Yeah,
26
I
versus
mean-
12, so different.
Yeah, but
And-
you're always the baby. You're always
Yeah.
your parents' baby.
Right.
No matter
Oh, no,
what,
I'm just
so.
thinking about friends, like friends
Yeah.
from high school.
Oh, yeah. They
Like
always see you as
they're
the-
like, holy shit, like you're so different. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Austin is a great improv scene. Do you ever have any inkling to do?
no, I have 3 stand-up friends who do improv, and they've been trying to get me to go. I want to, so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm so scared that after like stand-up conditions you.
Yeah.
To like, you know, like.
But it strengthens you. It's that, if you're
It does.
strong in multiple areas, they both get better.
Oh, for sure. It helps you kill harder if
Yeah.
you know how to like use your body.
Yeah. Yeah. And your creativity in a different way, the off the cuff. Yeah. Well, you should think about it.
Oh, I definitely want to. I need that extra push. I need to walk with a friend and then they like.
Do you know Yola Lou?
Of course, yeah.
I mean,
I've seen her improv show.
yeah. There you go.
I know.
Have you
Talk
done
about-
Y'all We Asian? Because they do the improv, but then they also
Yeah.
have a feature. Okay. all
That
right.
was when I saw her do improv that night.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's where I know your name from because I remember paying attention to the flyer and I wrote the little article
Oh, okay, yeah.
in the Chronicle. Not to brag, but I just bragged. So, yes, then you should.
I know. I think that's the most I've ever seen Asian comics on a stage.
Yeah, that show's a big deal. Like
Yeah.
long running,
A lot of East
sold
Asian
out.
comics, especially. It was like 9 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there you go. You could do it. Start there. You know Yola. She's awesome. So, okay. Well, are you ready for the final question?
Oh, all right. Throw it to me.
All right.
What you got?
One word to describe your future.
Oh, my future? Netflix. No. Actually, yeah. Keep that there. Yeah.
That's fantastic. It's the vision boarding, manifesting. There you go. Is that written on your piece of paper?
No, it's not.
Should be. It should be. Oh, that's fantastic.
God, I know you have that little snapshot of like with the interview. Like, I hope people don't just see the Netflix. They read the end.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because we just added that little feature to the article.
Oh, really?
Because I'm like, nothing's being done with the past and future. I have visions of something that we could do with it because I collect it. I have this spreadsheet that I keep everybody's first or past and future word and
It looks great. It's almost like a little bio,
yeah,
of them.
yeah. It was ulterior motive because the articles were getting it's hard to write when you write about a specific industry. This is technical talk, but when you write about a specific industry, it's hard to say the same thing in creative ways. And so my thought was, if I create this little bio card, then the article can focus on other things, and the same things don't have to be said you don't have to work as hard to say the same thing
Right.
in different ways. So I'm glad you're the first person that's actually told me, oh, I read that, I find it interesting, or maybe you don't find it interesting, but you acknowledge that it exists. So
Oh yeah, I
appreciate
like it
that.
a lot. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. And you'll get your own. All right, well, that is a wrap on Comedy Wham Presents Chris Tan Comedy
Thank you
in
for having
Austin,
me.
not the actor that's
Chris Tan,
clogging
yeah.
up the Google search. So with that in mind, tell us where we can find you on social media and promote your projects.
Okay. I'm trying to build up I am building up my YouTube channel my YouTube channel is Chris Tan Comedy. And then on Instagram, you can find me at Devoutly Chris Tan. I'm on Facebook at Chris Tan. I built a fan page. There's like 12 people right now. We're climbing up right now.
Yes. Very good. And your show. Promote your show.
Oh, yes. When does this come out?
This is going to come out mid-December.
Mid-December. Oh, okay, shoot, cool. I'll be running a show at the Alamo Drafthouse December 23rd and December 30th, so back-to-back
Ooh,
weeks. Fresh
nice.
lineups, give out free movie tickets, and we'll be at Alamo Drafthouse Mueller.
Very good. And,
Very great Mexican vanilla milkshakes.
oh, yes.
So good.
Going to go on a tangent here. They used to have espresso shakes, and I would always ask for the Mexican vanilla shake, but put the espresso bean on top of the
Whoa.
mix.
I
But I
bet
don't
that's
think they
great.
have that
No, I
espresso
don't see
shake
the
anymore.
espresso anymore,
So
no.
it's just a plain old boring vanilla shake, Mexican vanilla shake. But yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
I got they hooked me up when I'm there because I run the show.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I used my drink tickets to get milkshakes. I was double fisting it. I was like, all right, I know the Mexican vanilla milkshake's the best. What about the chocolate cookie one? And I was like, oh no, Mexican vanilla. If you're listening, don't waste your money on the chocolate chip one.
Yeah, Mexican vanilla is the way to go for sure. All right, well, we hope you've enjoyed learning about how Chris got to be the comedic genius that you heard today, just as much as I have. This has been Comedy Wham Presents Chris Tan. I'm trying to do that, promo, Chris Tan
Yeah.
for you. I'm Valerie, and that's been funny. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Valerie. I appreciate it.